can you talk a little bit about the timing of this? Because we've talked that A.R.E 4.0 is the current exam, and then A.R.E 5 is, of course, the next exam. But just to be clear about the timing.
Sure, absolutely. So
and how they overlap.
Right now we're in the kind of end of 2015. A.R.E 4.0 has been going for a number of years. There was 3.1 before that, there was 3.0, there was the original ones. But right now the only one offered is 4.0. So if you're going to start the exam right now, you're going to be taking 4.0. And 4.0 will be offered all the way until June of 2018. 5.0 is going to start being offered in mid-2016. Now, amazingly to me, mid-2016, it turns out, is actually relatively soon.
Yes, it is.
This is one of those surprising things. Time marches on. And when they first started announcing it, it seemed like it was years away. But in fact, it's around the corner.
This is a testimony to Michael Armstrong's great leadership of NCARB to get these things moving quickly. Years ago, before he came on board, he's not an architect, by the way. He's the first executive director of NCARB that's not an architect. He's a business person. So he's been able to push things through relatively quickly, and I like that about him.
So I was actually pointing at the wrong one here. Actually, it's pointing at late 2016. Yeah. So it'll be, presumably that means November or something of 2016. 5.0.
I think it means December.
Does it mean December?
Yeah, because there's an 18-month period in there where they're going to continue 4.0. So you take 18 months from...
Oh, you subtract from June. Sure.
Yeah, to June 30th.
5.0 will be available at the end of 2016. And then they'll be both available from December of 2016 until June, that 18-month period that Frank was just talking about. And you can take either. You have to be in one or the other. So either you're doing 4.0.
Yes, you have to declare that you want to upgrade.
Right. So you have a couple choices. Right now, you could start in 4.0 and do the 7 exams that way, which frankly is what I would suggest. I think it's...
I would too.
It's the devil you know. There's a lot of study materials out there. There's a lot of people who have taken it this way. You have a lot of mentors who can help you through the process. Anytime there's a changeover, it's always a little bit of a confusion and things going on.
The new test is kind of interesting. You want me to talk about it a little bit?
Sure, yeah.
Historically, the profession has always judged the ability of an architect by their skill in drawing. And you think of an architect as being somebody who draws most of the time. But this new test will have no drawing in it whatsoever.
Right, the vignettes are gone.
Vignettes are all gone. Thank God, in a way.
The vignettes are, it's time for them to go.
Yes. Yeah. But what they will have instead is what they call hotspots on the test, where you identify areas, you identify parts of a building plan that they will show you as having a certain feature to it. And so that way they can judge your knowledge, number one. They can judge your ability to analyze a situation. So this has a lot of input from professional educators and test writers who work on these things as their career, to try to figure out whether people are knowledgeable enough to become an architect. So I'm assuming that this is going to be an improvement to the former
one
test.
Of the other examples that when I was talking with folks at NCARB about it, the example that they gave was the idea of like a case study, I think is how they refer to it, where you might get a bit of a drawing, a bit of a specification, a bit of code information, maybe a program information, and then there might be 4 or 5 or
I actually think it would be fun
7 questions about that.
Yeah. I would like to take this test.
I say let's make Frank take this.
Yeah.
So
every 5 years I need to take it.
The good news is that I think it does actually make sense, that it is fitting in more to the way that the profession is done. It's sort of a more logical process for thinking about how these things go. The idea of case studies, instead of these like one single piece of question that's kind of out of the blue and then another one and then another one, it's sort of more kind of things sort of make more sense architecturally. The flip side of that though is, when you really get down to studying for something, like studying for structures, for example, it's kind of handy just to spend a couple weeks studying for structures and then take the structures exam. So in a certain way, it may be actually easier to take the current exam than the coming exam. But who knows, right? I say get it done, just blast through it. There's no big reason to wait for the 5.0. But being strategic, think about what makes sense to you. Think about the fact of take the 3 first and 4.0, and then you can do the other 2 and 5.0. Or at least just take one to see how you feel about it and learn from the process.